We talk football and current events, sitting and chatting with the very best guests, with two Scottish boys and we're loving it. So if you like witty banter, check the former #1 podcast on iTunes, Sitting and Chatting.
Hello and welcome back to Sitting and Chatting podcast. I'm Whyte.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Aidan Doherty.
Aidan, thanks for joining us. And Jamie's currently displaying his bartending skills. Ooh,
By
nice
the way,
little...
Look at that.
I think that's the first time I've seen you use a glass on the podcast.
In a podcast, yeah. Corona's kicking about now, so obviously you can't really drink for the bottle straight off, or you could die.
No, true. Yeah, you never catch me doing that.
You drink Lucozade Sport as if you ever actually do any sport, so you know. Tit for tat and that.
You cheeky bastard. I was out on a run this morning.
Hi out on a run to McDonald's.
This morning, please disclose the time.
Disclose the time. 10:15 I would have been out.
Don't I believe it?
Okay.
There's the proof.
There's the proof. I don't know. The security cameras up and around the high school, I suppose.
Aye.
Why, so you were trying to run at this high school?
Run about the school.
Ken William Fields,
suspect.
like the wee grass, but
It's a bit sus, that.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
He's not got a video because
It's the weekend. If I was a real pedo, I'd know to go there during the week. Come on.
Oh, you were talking about pedo? Oh, no, see, we weren't on that wavelength. So that must just be in your membrane the whole
I'm
time.
too fucking tired for this.
It's 4:30, mate.
I know, and I've been doing things in my day. That's why I'm actually tired.
4:30 already?
Yeah, I've been working my graded unit all morning.
Well,
Absolutely love it.
We'll get into that and all the joys, but first, Aidan, we'll start with you. I will start with everyone. What's your earliest memory?
Earliest memory. It's got to be running outside my house back, because I used to live in Flynn back when I was really, really young.
Okay.
And I fell outside my house and just split my knee wide open. I can just remember greeting like a absolute wuss. That's probably
I mean,
my
if
earliest
you're
memory.
young, that's probably fair enough at that point.
Yeah, that's probably my earliest memory.
It's all right.
That's a belter, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, we've had a lot worse, so you've done good.
Aye, like last guest. We'll not disclose the name or nothing. But
I can fucking look at the titles.
pretty pathetic, that's what I'm going to say. Can't imagine it was, but it was pretty pathetic, anyway.
Just using every opportunity to bully that poor boy that you can.
Oh, you're assuming it's a guy. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, aye, splitting the knee on Flynn. When did you move away from Flynn?
That's a long way back now. Probably tail end about 2008, 2009.
Oh, okay, so it was
At that time. So yeah, a good while ago.
good while ago. Aye.
Yeah.
So were you born in Stirling then, originally?
Yeah, I was born in Stirling Royal Infirmary back when it was actually there. Born in Stirling, lived in Flynn, moved through to Stirling, lived in Stirling probably up till I was about 18, and then obviously I've been living in Dundee ever since then.
So has Flynn got a primary school, or am I misremembering?
Yeah,
No,
Is that the one that was burnt down recently? Oh no, that was Plain.
that was Plain.
that was Plain, yeah.
I also wasn't recently, by the way, just to be clear.
It was it not burnt down twice though? Well, it was burnt down once and then someone tried to set a fire again.
No, because I never
That's
rebuilt it. It was
Yeah.
it was the sheds that were burnt down. It was holding the immediate classes.
Yeah.
So the sheds they got attempted to
But-
get burnt down.
One of our mates that I used to work with knew the kid that done it, and he was saying that he has to have like constant like fucking security like outside his house for like a year because everyone apparently like all the parents just wanted to murder him. Apparently, and he used to get death threats like a 14-year-old because he burnt down the
14-year-old
school.
getting death threats from 35-year-old men.
Because like, oh fuck, now we're gonna have to teach the Waynes that's I don't want to fucking do that.
Okay,
Brilliant.
I mean, Plains are strange bunch. So, but anyway.
Aidan, did you go to school in Plain? Sorry, Flynn, fuck's sake.
Yeah, I can't remember quite when I left, but I think I joined St Ninian's primary school, so the one that's just round from the high school.
The best gen.
I joined that probably when I was primary 3, I think. Probably primary 3, 4-ish. Were you? So did you actually go to St Ninian's primary school?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would have been in the year below you, I think.
Never noticed you in my life.
That's fair. I was probably quite small.
So yeah, I went to St Andrews Primary and then Stirling High School after that. Pretty much.
Mental health, I don't remember you at all being still in high school.
Well, I left in 5th year, I think. It was sort of the end.
To
It was
be
either
fair,
the beginning or the end of
Jamie
5th
left the same year as you then, because he left in 4th year.
year. But I just floated about. I looked a lot different back then as well, because I had quite long hair and I was an absolute wee emo. Just hung about with a bunch of absolute rejects.
That's probably why I didn't know you, to be fair.
Yeah, pretty much. Can imagine you hung about with all the Neds.
Nah, not me.
Never
You claiming Liam as a Ned? Wow.
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah.
him like that?
No one that isn't a Ned calls himself the Socky old casual or whatever it is.
No, say it right at least. Didn't put disrespect to my name. It's the Socky Casual King. You know,
Socky casual king.
you never put disrespect on a king's name, mate.
Well, no, I didn't. To be fair, I didn't really cut about William as such in school. It wasn't.
More so outside.
That was aye. But who did I hang about with? Oh, Jack and Duncan and Ben. Nah, it was. Nah, I didn't hang about with the Neds. Ben Gilmore, you know Ben Gilmore, aye?
Yeah, I think I've spoken to him a couple of times, but I don't really know him.
Former guest on the podcast.
Aye, so he's definitely not a Ned.
Wait,
No.
talking about massive Ned. You seen him?
Jack Cullen definitely was a Ned.
To be fair, actually, if you know Ben's family, then you know he's certainly acquainted with Neds.
To be fair, I didn't I hang about with kind of social rejects and that, but I didn't really know this group of people, probably not properly until I'd even left high school, because I was only really friends with Sam and Oliver, because I used to hang about them in high school, and then we used to hang about at Oliver's house and that, and it wasn't until I'd left high school that I started joining these guys and doing D&D sessions and going out drinking and that.
Bondage sessions, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
To be fair though, Sam's alright.
He can be a wee tadger sometimes, but he's alright.
Oliver was about a weapon in school, but it wasn't.
I mean, he literally brought a weapon into the Scottish Parliament. So
but he also bring a knife into school.
I think it was a Scottish Parliament he'd done. He might have done school as well, but I can't quite remember. We're making him sound like a school shooter here, but he's no, we promise.
But ever since he left school and stuff, the times that I spoke to him and the times I've met up with him, he's actually one of the funniest cunts. But it was a total weapon in school.
He's still a total weapon. Everyone that I speak to about Oliver, because I actually lived with Oliver from probably about 2000, tail end of 2017 up to 2020, just sort of beginning of last year. And every time I've spoken to someone about him, they're all like, "Oh, Oliver's great," and I'm just like, "He's a fucking enigma. I can't understand the boy. Anything he says or does doesn't gel. He's smoking pipes on the balcony, but doesn't know how to make potatoes. I don't get it. It's just, I would count him as my best pal.
It does make some strange decisions, and one of the reasons why I'm desperate to have him on, because the fucking some of the stories I've heard from you and Ben and all that, I'm desperate to.
His Facebook profile picture alone is enough to make anybody want him under.
Yeah, it's just honestly getting him on the podcast. All you need to do is just so. I hear you've been on a few holidays. Just let him go off for about 2.5 hours.
I know we know we've got all planned for when he comes on eventually, but we'll get to living with all of them stuff. But what was school like for you as an experience?
Hell on earth, actually. Being totally real, I didn't really gel well with school, the sort of environment, and I didn't really have that many pals. So I didn't really enjoy it at all, and I didn't really have all the friends I had in school. I wasn't really friends with until I left school, so I just kind of wanted out. I left at the beginning of 5th year, went into an apprenticeship.
That's fair. Do you feel as well, because I'd say that you're a pretty smart guy. Did you hate the style of learning as well, or was it just more the environment itself that you hated?
It was a bit of a combination of both. The style of learning, never sitting and listening to a teacher for 2.5, 3 hours a day, and going home and be expected to do homework and all that. I never really. That's not the way I learn at all. I learned through just self-exploration. I like Googling things and looking at Wikipedia articles and watching documentaries to learn as much as I can about it, but school just doesn't really gel.
Do you think then that going into like university, college, apprenticeships, that sort of helped you more then as such?
Yeah, I think so, because they do, obviously they've got all the lectures and all that, but really university's a bit like they don't really give a fuck if you turn up for the lectures, so long as you're handing in your work.
Yeah,
that's it. So if you watch the lectures online and then read the material, you're set, honestly.
So, what were you good at at school? Like, what was like your subjects that you were decent at?
There wasn't really one I was bad at. I'm not saying that to like toot my own trumpet or anything like that, but I got an A in higher English. I got an A in higher maths. I got an A in higher geography. I got an A in higher computing. I was going to do advanced higher at like 3 of those subjects. But the rest of them I wasn't really interested in.
And me and Jamie are shame here.
To be fair, now it just sounds like Mary a weapon.
But yeah, I got an A in quite a few, but I never really translated it into anything because there was nothing I was really interested in. So I fumbled a bit after high school, not really knowing what to do.
So what did you go and do an apprenticeship in then?
It was IT and telecommunications. But the actual apprenticeship itself was really fucking intense because it was
Was that in Stirling?
Yeah, it was actually where Sam worked, PGDS. He worked on frontline like customer support for like in-house, but I worked on sort of like back-end mainframe stuff. So I was doing like really like coding and like program development, but it was all really complicated, and it was in a coding language that was about 50-year-old at the time, from like the 1980s, because it was like mainframe coding. So it's honestly it was a bit mental.
So like was there only like a certain amount of places then that could get you into like the actual job afterwards, or provided you'd done it, you'd get in?
Yeah, a little bit. There are places I could have gone. Like there's like HSBC banking, and a lot of like the banking software is run on that type of code. So I could have gone and done that, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. Sitting in front of a screen all day, every day, like for work, just bored the life out of me. Like I'd get to about 2:00 and I'd just be sat there like, just nodding off. But yeah, the actual place that I was at didn't have any jobs available. Like all the guys that were there had been there 20, 30 years and were all on like 60 to 80 grand a year. So yeah, it was there was no chance I was getting a job, basically.
So what did you go off and do instead then when you finished?
I finished the apprenticeship and decided, fuck it, I'll see like about going back to college and that. So I went back and done civil engineering, which is what I'm still doing now. Just trying to get like a degree done for that.
And that was in Dundee, was it?
It was initially, well, I initially started with just the NC because I wanted to see whether or not I actually wanted to do it, and I did that in Forth Valley.
The Stirling one or the Falkirk? Right?
Yeah, Falkirk.
God, that's a shit building, isn't it? I've seen
it's a shit building. They've redone it all now. There's a new campus right next to it, but it was a shit building. But the amount of funding that they had was ridiculous.
Really?
They have partnerships with NEOS, SSE, like a whole host of all the different like oil and gas companies. But the actual building itself was shit. For instance, I went off to France for 3 weeks while I was in my NC.
What, just for a holiday or?
No, it was like an exchange program with a French school. So we went to like a little French village called Bourg-en-Bresse, which is like an hour outside of Lyon.
Okay.
And that was just to see how they learned for 3 weeks.
And
it was.
I wouldn't associate like computer classes with those exchange sort of poor bastards as well, coming to Falkirk of all places from France. Like
something we noticed as well, which we found fucking hilarious, is when they came over from France, they were looking at all these girls in the college and just being like, oh, she's fit, oh, she's really nice. And we were looking at them and going, she's an absolute fucking munter, mate. What are you on about? And then the exact same happened when we went over to France. We were like, oh, she's fit, oh, look at her. And they were all just looking at us like, you fucking mental.
Very different tastes then, I guess.
Yeah. Just sort of, I think it's like the exotic thing that like it's just different.
Exotic.
Well, it's just
fucking Larbert, fucking.
It's just different, and I think that's what they enjoyed.
They crave for something different.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Where do you think like the best looking people are in the world?
That's easy. Middle East.
Good. Middle
Without
East.
a doubt, Middle Eastern girls. Sort of Turkish, Arab, Pakistan. Well, maybe not Pakistani. That's not really the Middle East.
Indian.
But some Indian girls, yeah, really, really pretty. But it's sort of like the Middle East, like Israel, Turkey, that sort of mixing pot.
In terms of like skin and like structure of their face, aye. But you know, that's where the prettiest lasses are. That's why you always see it like when Fast and Furious and stuff was shot in like Dubai and stuff. The women there were just phenomenal. But
what about like the personal experience? Because have you been to the Middle East? Because I mean, I've certainly not been. I doubt Jamie has been.
No, I haven't. Not at all. I've been a few places, but never the Middle East.
Fair enough. Because from personal experience, Holland is the place, which I didn't expect as well.
I think a lot of the Scandinavian countries are a bit like that, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, never had the experience, but I've heard of from friends that have managed to go over the
that's why
joys
the
of
red light district's so popular.
You'd have to be very careful as well when I was there about just if you go down one wrong street and you've got your phone out, that's you're done for. You're gonna get like piss thrown over you.
Jesus, man. Oh, those are the ones where it's like no cameras allowed kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, but it's like even if like, you know, you have like your phone just out like you're looking for directions or that, they will still believe you're trying to take photos of them, and they will still like throw piss or shit or water or whatever over you. Like it's a very friendly area until you make one wrong street decision.
No, I don't think I could ever go down a street like that. It's just not. It doesn't jive with me.
I reckon Jamie would. I think Jamie could enjoy himself.
I think he'd already. I think he'd already be there if he could.
Who's throwing the shit exactly?
Where do I sign up?
Right.
How much does that cost an hour?
Wee bit off topic there, Ben. So like, were you just doing like college work there in France, or did you just spend your whole time out there fannying about?
I mean, we were supposed to be doing a little bit of French work, but none of us could speak French, so.
And they sent you to France anyway. That was a smart decision.
But you've got to understand, we were an hour outside of Lyon, so you know the stadium that was built in Lyon, the Olympique Lyonnais.
Yeah,
we went to see that stadium. Yeah, we went to see that stadium. We went on a big tour of Lyon. We actually, when we had to fly there, we had to fly through Switzerland because that was closer than the French airports were to the place we were meant to be staying. So that was beautiful. Like we got to see all the mountains and stuff in Switzerland. And we spent the whole like 3 weeks in like 35-degree weather. It rained once. One day it rained. So I don't tan in my life, but I came back and my entire neck was brown. Like my shoulders were brown, my arms were. It was mental.
The most we were offered to go to when I was in college was a day trip to Edinburgh. So I think I can see who the lucky one here was.
Yeah. I think it's just I've managed to somehow go to places that were a bit like Stirling High School has some weirdly like rich kid style school holidays to like Austria and Italy and stuff. It's a bit weird.
No, the thing is, though, it only had, as far as I was aware when I was there was like 3 that you could go on. I might be wrong here, but you could do the World War II trip, which is like the cheap one where you go in a bus, and like I'd done that and that was class, but you know. Oh no, there was 4 actually. So you have the football trip then to Valencia, but you have to actually be good at football. So I mean, that was me fucking it. You had the what do we call it? Yeah, the ski trip. Couldn't give less of a fuck about skiing, or also asking my mum to pay $1,000 to let me go. And then the China trip, you know, not really interested in going to China, and also I don't ask mum to spend $1,000 on it.
But that's what I mean though. Like if you're like if Stirling High School, it's a public high school. It's not got like, it doesn't seem like it's got a lot of money or anything like that. But then they're like organizing these trips to Valencia, Italy, Austria, China, Belgium. Do
you know what it is? Because I've learned the trick here from knowing teachers. The way they do it is so like each school obviously gets like a certain budget every year, and they have to, if they don't match that budget, then basically what happens is the next year they'll give them less. So they always come like the end of the year, just spend hundreds of money on shit that they don't need just so they get the same
Yeah.
amount of money
Same with
next
the
year.
fucking council.
Yeah.
Well, that's where March Madness comes in with the council, where they start like digging up roads and putting in plotted plants everywhere, and you're just like, "What's the fucking need for this?" And they're like, "Well, we won't get the money next year." Well, you clearly didn't fucking need it.
Yeah. So that's why like the school has like no printer ink, no like broken chairs, broken ceilings, but then with like a month to go, they'll suddenly say, "Oh, by the way, we've got this trip to a foreign country.
Yeah.
Do you want to take part?"
We're all going to China, and by the way, next week you can pick off this catalogue of shit you can do. Yeah, we're all going to like M&D's and that, and you're like, what?
Oh yeah, I forgot about the 2-day
Yeah.
trips that you used to get. Fuck,
It
yeah, I
was-
forgot about
that was
I
like,
done none of that shit, by the way, just to be clear.
no.
that.
I wasn't allowed.
Did you-
Well, I mean, I wasn't allowed any of the local M&Ds. I wasn't allowed to go to them and that.
But what, like, were you just were none of them you allowed to do?
No, so I got offered to go to the ones abroad. I was allowed to go to the ones abroad, but I was like, well, I'm shy at traveling, so no, you're all right.
It's like
Yeah.
I mean, like there's ones where I did like the M&Ds and all that. I think the only ones I'd done every year was whitewater rafting, just because I'd done it one year and it was class. I didn't want to do
Yeah,
any
I
of the
did
other
that.
ones.
I did that one year. That was quite good.
Whitewater, yeah, that's great. I would do that again now. Actually, thinking about it.
I also did that with Callum. I can't remember his second name now, but he was in my year. It was a guy called Callum, and we just for like an entire summer, for out of the blue, we just ended up going on a lot of these like sports things. So just doing like dodgeball, whitewater rafting, hill climb, like, you know, what's it called? You know when you got like all the harnesses and stuff, and abseiling. That's it.
Was
rock
that with
climbing,
like a
abseiling.
club or was that just
No,
out of your own
It was
pocket?
it was just because we were like, here, let's do it.
I mean, it's
and
better than sitting your
yeah.
arse saying nothing if you can make the
Well,
most of it.
Yeah, because the thing is, his mum was paying for it all, and she was
Oh.
like, I think he just
Fair.
wanted someone to come along, so she was like, yeah, I'll pay for someone to come with you if you want. So I ended up going. That was mental.
Huh?
You can name the kid's last name.
You know, it's only about the experience, Jamie. Once you're just done with them, it doesn't matter what they are.
Fucking hell.
So yeah, anyway, so I'm barring all the French side and getting to skive off the college for 2 weeks. You know, how's the rest of the experience?
It was pretty good, yeah. The college lecturers, obviously, as you probably know, they're a lot more relaxed than teachers are.
Yeah.
And especially once you get up to uni, they just could not give a solitary fuck. They don't care. So even in like the college, I was like pissing around and having a laugh with my lecturers and stuff like that, and they didn't really care if you were, you know, turning up late and shit like that. They like some of them would, but the rest of them was just like, have you got the work done? Yeah, here you go. And they're like, cool.
Yeah, I think that was part of the problem though for me, and I've mentioned this to Jamie and I've mentioned on the podcast before. Like, I think the reason why I'd sort of enjoyed college a lot more than uni, though, like you said, was although the college teachers don't necessarily, they're not like teachers at school, like they're no strict, they treat you like adults. But if there was actually something wrong, they were willing to help me. Like if you had problems at home or if you had problems with your work, they would be always willing to like take time out of their day to help you. Whereas
Yeah.
if you go to university, it's cutthroat as shit. They do not give a fuck about you.
Well, it's every man for himself. You miss a deadline, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
you're fucked.
Mm.
And unless you can get extenuating circumstances, which is a whole rigmarole of like talking to your lecturer and then talking to like the counsellor people and then talking to like your course manager, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. So it's a shame for folk that actually do have these problems that need the extra time.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
nah, not everyone's as lucky. So did you graduate and then go up to Dundee University or Abertay that you went to?
Abertay was the goal.
Right.
And it's pretty much what I'm doing now. I'm doing like a combination of, I'm still doing college stuff, but I'm going to Abertay as well. Because the college works closely with Abertay. So yeah, I just finished my NC. Decided fuck it. Oliver was looking for a flatmate, and I was like, yeah, I'm more than happy to come up. Worst year of my life, by the way.
Are you saying this is all Oliver's fault by chance, or it's just
basically, yeah. Nah, that. Have we ever told you about Callum, the guy we used to live with?
I met Callum a few times.
I cannot stand him. I don't talk to him anymore. He was the fucking worst human being to live with. Oliver was great. He was just funny.
So, like, was this Callum boy? Was he one of your mates, or was it Oliver's mate, or?
He was one of Oliver's mates that he was at uni with.
Right.
So it was me, Oliver, Chloe, and Callum that were all living together at the time. And me and
nice
Chloe
flat.
had it was nice, except my room was tiny, and I fucking hated that. But me and Chloe had a bit of a falling out at the end of it, but we got over that just because I think it was just fucking. By the end of it, we were just everyone was button heads and just being like, right, I fucking hate you, shut up, kind of thing. And Callum, I'm talking like I'm working the next day. He's bringing people over at 3 a.m, making shitloads of noise. He's leaving plates and cups and pots about that are just covered in mold that no one else is going to touch because they're not ours, but he just leaves them. He's got like rubbish all over his room. He's kind of pathetic as well. Like, no, I'm not nice to him. I used to be nice about it, but like he would he doesn't like confrontation. So as soon as you like pick him up on this stuff, he'd like retreat into his shell and just be like, I'm sorry. And you're like, oh mate, just shut up. Just fix it. Just fix it, honestly.
And I'm going to guess that he never fixed it if this was such a big problem.
No, he didn't. He had the same problems. A bunch of his mates that he did judo with, who we kind of spoke to, they were like, "Oh yeah, Callum's moving in with us next year," and we just went like that to them. Good luck. You're not gonna like that, and it was true. He got kicked out halfway through that lease, because they couldn't stand him. Yeah, it's just mental.
So, like, if you are going, so like, did you know him at all then before you moved in?
No, not at all.
So if you had any advice then for people, you know, they might be in uni, they're about to move in with new people, or maybe folk that they don't know, what advice would you give to someone like that?
I think the advice that I'd give to them is make sure you're setting boundaries with the people you come into contact with day one. Like, just make sure they know, like, this is my area. Fuck off and just stay in your own area. And like, yeah, be friends with them, but you can't, just because you live with them, you can't just be nice to them, you know? I think that's one of the things that we kind of fell into, because Callum lived with us, we let him away with a lot of things. And if you like move to a place and you don't know the people there, chances are you're not going to like most of it. Like, for most people, because, you know, like 8 people in the same area, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 you just don't like. But like after that, when it was just me and Oliver alone, that was perfect. The only reason we moved out after that was obviously because, you know, whole pandemic was starting. He wanted to get back home before shit hit the fan, and we'd kind of gotten sick of each other. Not that we weren't friends, we'd just gotten sick of being with each other 24/7 kind of thing.
Do you think that's inevitable though if you just live with someone long enough?
I think so. If that person isn't like your significant other, I think there comes a point where you're just like, right, I'm kind of sick of seeing your face every day.
I think in some ways that's kind of what works for me with Duncan, because also he'll spend some days where he just doesn't come out of his room, so it feels like I've got the flat to myself at certain points.
Yeah, definitely. And that was kind of what it was like for us, because by the end of it, me and Oliver would barely say a word to each other. Not because we didn't like each other, but it would just be a, hi, how are you? I'm good. You? I'm good. And then we'd fuck off back to our rooms kind of thing.
Is this like, what would be, because also Jamie, you've never moved out of your home as such, like you've always been staying with your parents. See, would you ever move in with mates, do you think, or would you just save it till you were with someone before doing that?
Nah, I'd probably avoid it.
Just again for the whole confrontational side, or do you have another?
No, I like confrontation. So I wouldn't mind that aspect, but it's more that it's just no point. I just don't see the benefit of moving into somewhere with your mates when, you know, I've got everything I need here.
Fair.
Well, that's kind of, yeah, I quite like that, to be honest. That's probably my view on it looking back, is moving in with your mates sounds like fun, but you just learn a lot you don't like about them, and it just creates unnecessary drama that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So just forgo doing it.
I think though in a way that kind of helped though that I didn't move in with someone that I knew before college, because it's not like someone from school who I might grow to hate over time. It's like someone that I've only known recently, and
So
because of that, new experiences.
How did you actually meet Duncan? Because I don't think I've ever asked you.
He lived in my for those listening, Duncan's my current flatmate. We lived together in dorms when we were in college. And it got very near the end of time before moving out, and we stupidly still hadn't got a place yet, either of us. Because mainly I assumed he was going with another mate, but then I found out he wasn't. So I was just like, oh, do you want to get somewhere together then? And that's kind of how it happened. No, so, well, technically third place if you include that.
And from there, the relationship bloomed.
Yeah, now he hates me with all his passion, especially when I do podcasts.
I couldn't imagine living with Bradley.
You just wanted to fucking get his name out there, didn't you? Just
No, I couldn't.
Just like you're thinking about all your mates, just like, oh, I could live with him, but Bradley.
The cunt is so fucking odd, man. I don't think I could do it.
Do you think that helps then? Maybe in a weird way.
Nah, fuck that. I wouldn't want to know what he would get up to in his spare time.
You say that, but I was kind of like that with Oliver. Oliver's one of those people that you've met him. He's a bit of a fucking weapon, but living with him was fun because every day was different. There was something else that would happen that would just have me in fucking stitches on the ground because he's just done us.
Bradley's boring. See, Oliver's quite exciting, can bring that humour to you, but Bradley's a dumb.
What has Bradley done to you today, by the way? Why are you on smoke?
I've not spoken to him. I've not spoken to him today. In fact, I don't think I spoke to him for about four or 5 days.
So you're just on smoke, are you?
Oh no, I tell you a lie, I smoked to him last night.
All right, that's why you've got the built up rage on you. You just want to lay out.
Exactly.
But yeah, so like go on then, Aidan. What's one of the weirdest things that he's done when you lived with him?
I think I've told you some of the food stories, definitely. But
go on, let the podcast hear it though. Let the podcast.
I'll let the podcast hear the story. So I think my favourite food story about Oliver is because Oliver, for those who don't know him, he's a really, really smart guy. And of all my friends, I admire his work ethic more than anyone because he'd go to the library 8 a.m, wouldn't come out till 10 o'clock at night just to make sure that he was going to pass uni. And he'd do that for weeks on end. But when it comes to anything else a human being needs to survive, he's fucking hopeless. He can't, honestly, he would eat shit that was like 6 or 7 days out of date. I walked into the kitchen once and he had like a big soup pot, massive soup pot, full of water with half-cut potatoes just in it. And he had it boiling. And I went, Oliver, why are you boiling like 5 kilograms of potatoes? And without missing a beat, he turns to me and he just goes, I wanted baked potatoes. And I couldn't for the life of me understand how he got to that.
How many of the 5 kilograms of potatoes did they eventually eat?
He threw the vast majority of them out. I must eat about maybe 5 of the potatoes at best.
Do you think maybe this is why he moved home now, because he's so having to cook for himself?
Yeah, probably. I'm talking he ate there was, I can't remember what they were. I think it was a steak that was probably a good 6 days out of date. And I didn't know this. He made it and he was eating it and he went, you want a bit? And I did. I put it in my mouth. I bit down on it and it was sour.
Oh, God.
And he was just eating it like it was nothing. Can't understand him.
I can see why he moved home. He's, I think he needs that. I think he needs that home cooked meals from his mom and dad.
Yeah. Me and him have gotten up to some fucking shenanigans though.
So though, moving out just before a pandemic started, so you must have been, well, it'll be coming up to a year now that you've been on your own then. What's that been like?
I think it used to, probably back when I was 16, 17, 18, or sort of 20-ish, it would probably have been a lot worse. But after having lived with people for a couple of years and then living with Oliver for another 2 years, I think I came to the conclusion that I'm actually okay kind of living on my own. So it's been fine, honestly. it's not been like lonely or anything. Because like I say, if I want to like play, games with mates, I can just get in a group chat, or I can jump on Discord and play whatever I want. And then if I want to go on a walk, I'll go on a walk and get food and stuff. And it's just the only annoying bit is I don't get to see my girlfriend.
But where does she live?
She lives in Aberdeen, but she can't travel down here and hasn't really been able to for about 6 or 7 months now.
Jeez, has it been that long since you've seen each other?
Well, we saw each other in December, but
For
when they did that
Christmas.
they did that little bit where they were like, we're gonna let you see each other for like a week. We saw each other then, but since then, nah. That's been hard.
Must be quite straining now.
Yeah, on my wrist it is, definitely.
What did she do though? Because I know where she could come and live with you for a period of time.
Nah, she's a nurse. She could lose her job if she came down here, caught COVID. She'd lose her job for that sort of shit. So it's not really a possibility at all.
No, that is quite shite then. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully when it's all said and done, then it'll be possible. But
Hopefully.
yeah. So like, did you not even struggle at any point then with just being lonely at all or anything like that?
No, not really.
Nah, you've got your right hand. Did you know what I mean? It's
pretty much, aye.
Sometimes
but-
you're left if you're feeling adventurous.
nah. Calm your jets.
But nah, it's not really been an issue at all. But because I've also got work to do as well. I actually work from home. I've got a laptop and that. So I'm never really not busy because I've
That's
got
fair.
like college, uni work, and then working after it, and then I've got like the weekends to myself sometimes, or a couple of days out of the week where I've got like half the day where I can just chill. So nah.
So what are you doing now then, work-wise?
I just work for a company up in I forget the name of the wee village, but it's way outside Dundee. But it's just
Raleigh
called
Ferry?
Broughty Ferry. No, not Broughty Ferry. Broughty Ferry's just down the road. I'm talking
Is
like
it?
way outside. Yeah. Broughty
Alright.
Ferry's just down the road, like 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
It's just like this tiny wee village, but there's a company there called Castle Water, which is the water utility company for commercial buildings. It's boring as fuck, honestly. it's just a job at the end of the day to get money.
Yeah. Listen, certain people I know that would love a job right now, so a job's a job at the end of the day.
Wait,
especially
what do you
during
do for them, Aidan?
I just do a lot of going through accounts, making sure they're fine, final billing, invoicing, all that sort of stuff. And it's just a whole lot of looking at spreadsheets and getting stuff done. It's piss easy.
office admin, but for home.
Effectively, but it's office admin for like customers that we have. It's just it can get stupidly boring at times.
So
Doing the same thing.
So what's the dream then for when you've completed finally college uni? Is there like a dream job you have in mind?
Yeah.
what is?
The dream job would be either to become a structural and fluid engineer. So working on like structural buildings, sewageways, dams, waterways, all that sort of thing.
Okay.
That's the dream.
Fair play. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully you get it soon.
Hopefully.
And how much longer do you have left to go?
Probably about 2 years.
Okay.
Until I've got that's if I don't want to go for a master's degree though. If I want to go for the master's, that's 3 years.
Is that something that's recommended or?
It's recommended if we want to go for a chartered engineer.
What's that?
Well, there's first civil engineers, which is obviously what I am, and what I'm training to be and stuff. There's a body, like a representative body called the Institution of Civil Engineers.
Okay.
And if you get chartered status, you are basically a chartered engineer, like a chartered accountancy. So it commands higher salaries, better jobs. You can take your skills overseas, and that sort of thing. But it's effectively the same as having a PhD. It's just different. Like you'd have letters after your name and everything.
The all important randomized letters in your name.
Yeah, the all important BT, CMD, fucking DR. Yeah.
Looks like a maths equation whenever you get a letter through the post.
Yeah, that's the goal. If I get letters after my name, I'm making sure everybody uses them all the time.
I'm not gonna lie, I can seriously consider, you know, how like you can buy yourself like a tiny bit of land and then you're technically a lord. I thought I
Already done
might do. What's that?
I've already done that.
Have you actually?
Aye.
Are you technically
I'm just
then
a-
Lord Jabba?
I'm just too embarrassed to put up my driving license.
No, you're fucking not.
I actually am. Fuck walking into somewhere and they go, you got your license, and then hand over that. It's like,
no, you have to do that. I want to see that. Let's see that. If you have the bit of paper on you.
downstairs, I'll go get it.
Ah, right, okay.
Oh, yes.
Let's see.
You just can carry on 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
okay.
bother.
He managed to
He's
keep
coming
that
back with
up,
that slip of paper.
He's going to come back with a sheet, or he's just going to come back with a crayon drawing that says Lord Jamie on it. It's just
It just pencil really faded.
yeah, no, it'll be like that. I don't know. I think that'd be cool though. I just want to put that on all my letters, just so I can Lord Liam.
Lord Whyte.
Lord Whyte, how may I be of your assistance?
You'd get the piss ripped out of you
Give a fuck.
24/7.
I do
You
not
know
give a
that,
fuck.
right?
I don't give a fuck. Imagine applying for jobs. Lord Whyte.
Yeah, but then you'd have to explain. Oh, so how much land do you own?
Well, about maybe this
well,
much.
about. You ever
I
seen a
can-
Rubik's cube?
I can build a whole Lego house on this plot of land.
Jesus, man.
Nah, that would be ultimate tier, you know. Like, what do you have to be to like get other titles anyway? I'm not talking about like PhDs and that, but like, what about like knighthoods? Is it just literally doing good in the community? Is that what you need to get them?
It's a combination of different things. So obviously you can get a Nobel Prize,
Yeah.
which makes you a Nobel laureate.
Which one of my relatives has?
Did they actually?
Yeah, genuinely. Do you want to know
Who?
what their name is?
Go on.
James White Black.
Fucking hell.
I'm serious. I'm serious.
Well, yeah, so you've got a Nobel Prize, so you become a Nobel laureate. That's recognised. I can't remember the letters for it. For engineers, there's a whole series of letters dependent on the level of qualification that you have. There's BTC. There's a whole like bunch of them. There's obviously chartered, which would be chartered engineer. I can't remember what the actual letter is though. Oh no.
What?
I accidentally turned on the narrator somehow. Yeah, so it would be CENG is chartered engineer. So I would be like if I were to get it, it would be CENG Aidan Doherty.
Oh, so it comes at the start of the name, not at the end of the name.
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay.
So technically you could be CEng Dr. Doherty OBE. And just have a series of them. Yeah. And then there's obviously OBEs and knighthoods and stuff, which are all given out by the government or thy queen.
What do you earn those for? It's just like a combination of like just doing good work in the chariot. Oh, here we come. The Lord has arrived.
Is that?
The Lord
has
cometh.
arrived.
I can't find it. My mum's not here. Hold on. I'm
I like my story.
Likely. We were just
It's a-
discussing all the letters you could have.
So,
All the letters you could have. Oh, after your name.
Yeah.
So, Aidan, then how have you been keeping yourself busy during lockdown when you've not been working or doing work?
Honestly, just been playing games. Been playing games, like keeping myself brushed up on knowledge, reading, being a massive fucking nerd, Warhammer and Marvel lore and shit like that.
Doing
And
better than most. At least you're keeping yourself educated.
but that's about it, to be honest. Other than that, because I've been doing college, uni, and work 90% of the time.
Am I right in thinking though that you're like big into your politics, or am I misremembering?
Yeah.
So do you wish to say on a podcast what your political association is? Because that might cause a whole heap of problems. So you don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, no, my political affiliation, I would say, is I'm left leaning.
Right.
I hold some conservative views, but the vast majority of what I think is very left leaning.
Okay.
So in terms of like, LGBTQ and all that sort of stuff, I'm all for it entirely. As well as the transgender community and trans rights, I'm all for that. My views on immigration and stuff are leaning slightly right. But no, I'm just very politically active. I like keeping myself up to date with politics.
Is there any particular reason do you have like family members interested in it, or has it just always been something that interested you?
No, I don't really have none of my family is really politically driven. I think it was really just sort of early days of like YouTube and that sort of thing got me quite interested in politics and philosophy and stuff like that.
Honestly, for me, I know it's going to sound like the most fucking clueless prick answer, and it is. It just like, I wouldn't say I'm the most clueless when it comes to sort of politics. I don't think Jamie is either, but I just think it's one of those things for me personally where it irritates me too much to keep too much of a close focus on it, because I would just keep getting myself more and more irritated if I did. Because the last general election, especially towards the end, I kept myself quite knowledgeable, and me and Jamie done a podcast straight after it happened, and I was just fucking raging the entire time, and I realised that wasn't a good thing for me to keep up to date with.
I had a bit annoyed though.
I had quite a lot of conversations in regards to the last general election. I know obviously it's a long, long way away, but I said, and I was actually talking with my mum and with one of my mates Ryan about this quite frequently. I said there is no way that any other party has a hope in hell of winning. If anything, it's going to be a hung parliament.
And there's going to have to this election, or do you mean the next one coming?
No, the election that happened. I said there's going to be no way that the Conservative Party, the Tory Party, isn't going to win. And if they don't win, it won't be by a majority, so there'll be a coalition formed. That's what I said. Yeah. The reason I said that is because they were going to lose Scotland to the SNP. That was going to happen regardless. And they were already losing Middle England on polls, like on the polls that were being done lead up to the election. They were losing Middle England. Losing Scotland means that the Labour Party can't win straight out.
Right.
Losing Middle England means they can never have a majority ever. Okay. So the Tory Party was always going to win.
I think we all fucking knew it, unfortunately, when it was happening. Yeah, Jamie's loving life.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know. I hold very strong views towards the Tories.
I do as well.
I do have a reason. No, I don't have a reason. I do have a question. That's what I meant to say.
yeah. You realise you start yourself like, shit.
No. I've got a question. My question is, why do you hold the LGBT, whatever the fuck it is, so close to? I don't know the name. It's too many. Plus, but there's a plus and all that shit. So there's too many letters. Why? What is it that makes you interested in and for it? I'm not against it, by the way, just to be crystal clear. It's just a case of I want to know why.
Yeah, I think I've always led a life. Like my mum's always been very open about things. I've never been kept sheltered from that sort of lifestyle. My mum's friends, a lot of them, when I was growing up, were gay. So one of her best friends, Stephen, is gay. He's living in Australia with his partner, who I think he's marrying. I can't quite remember. So it's never been anything that I've been, I've never not been knowledgeable about it. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's not really a matter of whether or not it should be accepted. It's just the way things are. And I don't see why people have such a big issue about it, why they get their backs up about people just enjoying themselves and, being happy with their lives. It's very strange that someone else would have such an interest in how people live their lives.
The way I see it is it's live and let live, and I couldn't care less is genuinely the way I view it. Right?
I think that's the way a lot should.
The one thing that does baffle me is how we can have a full month dedicated to the community, and then there's parades in the street and stuff about something that should be the norm. Whereas, something like things like Remembrance Day and things like that for our war heroes gets overlooked, which I've got a lot of family that's been in and died fighting for the country.
Yeah.
And me and Liam's got mates that are in, well, more so, there's three of my mates are away serving the country, and anything could happen any time. And we get to spend a day remembering the ones that have fallen, and we get a day for the ones that are still fighting. it's. I think it's a lot of the times anyway. I see when I look at the views on the community getting the whole month paraded around, which by the way is absolutely more than fine, because there's like Mardi Gras gets a full fucking month and it's all about drinking and tits. So there's a lot of parades out there that shouldn't happen. But when our war heroes and stuff get a day or 2 days a year in comparison to a full month, I think that's maybe where people jump in and get a bit pissed off with it.
Yeah, I definitely understand where people are coming from that. And what I would say in regards to that is that the difference between the two is that Remembrance Day and all those sorts of days are days of solemnness and remembrance. They're not days of celebration, if you get me. Whereas Mardi Gras, Pride Parade, all that are celebrations of a way that things are. And I mean, you've got to obviously, there's been a lot of sort of homophobia and a lot of systemic sort of oppression towards those groups of people. So this celebration is them trying to make it a norm. But I can entirely understand why people would get very upset that, the days that should hold more importance for people only have a day or 2 days, a week at most, where they can be remembered. But I think that obviously you've got to keep in mind that it's a celebration rather than Remembrance Day, which is a solemn reminder kind of thing.
I think as well, maybe the thing that helps is, especially when, also I don't know what school's like now, but if you look at schools, at least for us going back, like we had a full year dedicated to, or at least I did, dedicated to World War II, learning about it in school. I had weirdly actually not as much for World War One. I think that one kind of gets overlooked a lot more than World War II in the grand scheme of things. I know Second World War was bigger and had a lot more impact in general society, but I think that's part of the issue. And I think because though, one of the good things about this country when it comes to the war side of things is that it's sort of taught to kids from a young age, like it's sort of brought up in schools, or at least it was when we were there. And I think that it's good that it was integrated quite well, and like you learn a lot about it. And from that, I'm always still interested. I always try and learn more about war documentaries and things like that. But I think it's sort of like Aidan said, it's a day of remembrance. It's not a celebration. And I know you could have more days of remembrance, but at the same time, I think that it obviously does need to come a point where you're not over glorifying it, because at the end of the day, it was a terrible thing that happened. But I do also agree with you in the sense that there should be more done. I just think
there's remembrance, and then there's celebrating the life and the sacrifice they gave as well.
No,
so it can be looked at in both ways. But I get what you're saying, and I don't mind. I've never ever seen a pride parade in Scotland that I've been near when it's happened.
There's one in Glasgow every year, isn't there?
I know there's ones that happen, but I've never seen it and I've never experienced it. And I genuinely don't plan on going and intruding in one of them. But it's a case of I know what happens, and I know like that's all I ever see. And when you look at the news articles and stuff, it's the tweets are always the same. Why are we celebrating this? Why do these and people get a month and these people, and it's like the two pictures and stuff, and it's just a topic that always comes, like it's always the same, always that question, and it's interesting to see for somebody who fully supports it and stuff like that. But and both should be celebrated because it's the new norm, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wonder if it will be though, that sort of thing in maybe a few years. You won't actually see them because obviously it's a lot more widely accepted, and it continues to be, the older that we get. I wonder if it will just be these sorts of things that just won't happen because it'll be such a norm that it would be weird to celebrate it, if you get what I mean.
See,
I mean, that's the goal.
When it becomes a new norm, the norm for me now, right, would be when you fill out a form or when you call up customer service and they go, am I speaking to Mr. and Mrs. Or they go, is your husband there or is your wife there, rather than is your partner there. Or, I've done it plenty of times myself where I've assumed that, I was is your missus there. Oh no, actually my husband's not in there now. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that part needs to get integrated into to become the norm. Whereas, if two guys get married, like I've got customers who, the guy came in way back in 2016, no long after I started, and set him up with a full account, blah blah blah. He went away and he was the soundest guy ever, and came back, told me how everything was going, blah blah blah. Younger guy, kind of 25, 26, and he came in the next again year, done his upgrade, took a watch, and he kept doing stuff, and he would always come back to me, and he was like, I'm going to get my partner to come in, get everything sorted, and then I says, no bother, bring them in and we'll get it all sorted, and I never specified whether it was a female or a male, you know, and he came in, and it was, and I never ever crossed my mind that it was gay, and to be honest, looking at his partner, unless you really heard him speak and spoke to him, you wouldn't know he was gay either. And just a year and a half ago, they came in and was like, we're getting married and stuff. It was like, congratulations, blah blah blah. And then I got an invite to the wedding as well, and it was like,
Nice.
It's just mental for how it progressed. Do you know what I mean? For being customer, and then I don't know if he felt like, because the two of them came in and never ever blinked an eye. I never even brought it up, never thought about it. I think he just assumed it was, I accepted it, and I got the invite. He's a sound guy. I speak to him on a fairly regular basis, but only as a kind of work relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
What is it that you work in?
Work in EE and Stirling, so I work in the phone shop. So you kind of, those half an hour transactions you have with people, you learn a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I knew half of his family story before I even knew his partner, which was mind blowing to me. Do you know what I mean? But
and that's probably, it's probably why you did get an invite, is that there was never a point at which he felt uncomfortable. Like he could have brought his partner in, you just look at his partner and go, all right, how you doing? And it's not, there's nothing, like no judgment at all. I think that's,
Liam will tell you though, I'm the most chilled out cunt, and it's like you could honestly, it would take a lot for me to be surprised or you know,
raging.
I take to something unkindly, but this was a case of I was mesmerised at the fact he was gay on the basis what's in ingrained in my head is that the gay folk are very flamboyant. They walk about and they dress up. That's what was painted in my head. Whereas, you know, the average Liam could be gay. You know, just doesn't know it.
I mean, he is.
Well, and anywhere, do you know what I mean? He could come out the closet tomorrow, and it would make no difference. It would mesmerize, you know, it would blow my mind. But
I think that's definitely something that, particularly a lot of my friends, and I don't know if it's just maybe our generation, is becoming a lot more in tune with the fact that a lot of these things don't matter at all. Someone could be gay. I don't care if you're gay. What I care is kind of how you are as a person. If I think you're a cunt, you're a cunt. Like, it doesn't matter. You being gay doesn't play into that, you know? Like,
there was a point when I was in high school where I genuinely realised one day I've got more friends that are either like bisexual, you know, or gay, or, you know, whatever else, compared to straight friends. So it does just show like how normal it has become. Just like, oh wow, yeah, Jesus.
What I don't think will ever become,
I'm in the minority this time, you know.
I think what will never become the norm is the amount of sexualities and things that there is, like trisexual, pansexual, like all of this is, it seems, see when we speak about it, I don't know if you ever get this yourself, any two of you, but like when you're talking about it and you know, pansexual gets thrown into the sentence, or trisexual, or, you know, even bisexual, there's so many of them. That to me will never become a norm. It'll be male and female, and you can be gay or straight, but the rest I can't comprehend. And I don't know if it's just me being ignorant or not, but it's just, it seems so far-fetched, it seems so ludicrous.
I don't think it's necessarily you being like prejudiced or anything towards it. I think it's a huge cultural shift that, you know, a lot of people just aren't quite ready for. It's not like a bad, like saying they're bad people. It's just, it's a huge cultural shift that's very, very different to what a lot of people are used to. And I think I kind of agree with you in that all the sexualities that exist now aren't going to necessarily exist as a norm forever. I think that what it was an extreme opposite reaction to what was becoming a very sort of regimented society. Because you've got the Tories in charge, there's the rise of the right wing across the entirety of Europe, the rise of the Republicans in America. You've got a lot of these sort of very, very, set out Christian values in a lot of governments and a lot of parliaments and stuff, where the left had sort of like an extreme response to it, with a lot of these sexualities and this really flamboyant show of it all, and sort of kind of spitting in the face of the established what was established. And I think that's not going to be the norm. It's going to level out at some point, and it's just going to become accepted. But I think that definitely there is two sort of opposing sides in this sort of titanic struggle, and we're kind of in the middle, where we're like, it doesn't matter to us. You are what you are. But there's this one side that is like, you have to accept me for who I am, and the other side that's like, we never will. And I think our generation is the one that's kind of in the middle of that battle, where we're just kind of like, whatever, I guess.
We're growing up with it. It's not the norm, but we're willing to accept, and because we could give less of a fuck.
I think in terms of what you're saying there, Jamie, about being at the norm, like, and just literally like the last 2 years, I've had multiple friends, family, and even like people I know from like acquaintances at work either come out as like transgender, bisexual, pansexual, and all that. And because it's sort of it's not been forced upon me, but because it's now been made aware to me, I think that also helps, because the more people in it, obviously the more normal it becomes. And I think that sort of helped in my way of understanding it as such, and becoming more because I was never asked about it before. Like, I just didn't know anyone before. That was the only difference. And I will say though, it does sort of occasionally put me in a bit of an awkward predicament, I suppose. And I won't name names here. And I do want to put a high emphasis on this, that the people that I mentioned, I don't want to put in a bad light. They're just not aware as much as the likes of us three are, and more modern generations. But for example, I've like worked with people, and I've got family members who I've been with in these last 2 years since all these events have happened, where like they'll make jokes about transgenders, or they make jokes about bi people and all that, and it's not out of a place of hate. I don't want to make that clear. It's just out of a place of just like confusion, and they're not doing it in a hateful way. And I know it's a joke and all that, but because obviously now I do know a lot of people in that place, it makes it hard. It makes me feel really awkward now to be in that situation, especially when I know they're not doing it in a bad way, if you get me.
The thing that will never ever change for me is I will constantly make jokes about everything. I feel as though, even if some of the shit that we said in Discord was released, we'd be fucked.
We'd be so fucked.
Aye.
I'm on at least 3 different registers, if that gets
I mean, but that's something that will never change for me, and I hope never changes for everyone else, on the basis of what I've learned in regards to the communities that there's now formed. I'll still make a joke about somebody being gay because I'm not bothered, and it's no like you say a hatred for the community at all. Because let's say I've got a lot of friends who, and one whose wedding I'm going to is gay, so it's never ever a place that I hate. I'll make jokes. One of the boys in particular in our parties, you haven't met them. Me and him, we always, we take it quite far with the jokes, and it'll never change. But I would never ever do a place.
You'd never do that to a stranger, say.
Like if somebody said it to me, I would never ever say it to them unless I was on a level to that extent with them. But it is very interesting. Like one of the boys that I used to work with, Liam, you will know him. I'll not mention his name obviously, and he potentially could be listening. But I went to. So he was just a normal cunt, as they all are. He was a Rangers fan. He asked to come to a couple. Fuck you. Asked to come to a couple of Europa League games with me.
Oh Jesus!
So me, his missus, and his dad all went to these games, I got the 4 tickets. We went, blah blah blah. Went to many of the games. Had a great time. Now he's been with his missus for like 5 years or something. I got on with him. He was in our shop for about 2 years, and then he moved to a different store because his missus was starting whatever, college, wherever. And then just recently he came out as pansexual. Now, excuse my ignorance, I can't remember what that entails.
It's just there's no holds barred. It's an attraction to everyone, no matter gender, sexuality, sort of thing.
Right, see, I thought it was just they were attracted to personality, so I was ignorant to it a bit. But well, no, I suppose I'm right in some sense. You
are right in some sense. It's just they're attracted to basically anyone.
Right, okay. So to me, that's mind blowing. You know, because this guy was being with his missus for 5 years, and obviously, I think Philip Schofield made it the norm that you can be with somebody for a length of period, like a period of time. So then, no matter how long it is, you still need to be true to yourself. Yeah. And I think Philip Schofield's made that into a kind of norm.
And speaking about that, the Philip Schofield thing, he was the guy that was. Is it Good Morning Britain he's on? Yeah. It's This Morning or Good Morning Britain.
Good Morning Britain's Piers Morgan.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Don't talk about
what a cunt. Yeah. Anyway, but he basically, it's This Morning, and he basically just on the intro or the outro to one of them just said, you know, I'm gay. Like, he just came out and basically said, I've been with my wife for this many years. It's something that I've been hiding for a long time. I want to get it off my chest. I'm gay. And then just moved on. It was the weirdest thing.
I know, but he got interviewed on it prior to that, though. And then the interview got released. Even at that, though, it's still a mad situation. You know, somebody who was looked at as a silver fox, this male that all middle-aged women were attracted to, and it was like, he was a don, you know.
Yeah, the big man.
To then come out and say, you know, I'm gay after being with my wife for this long, I've got kids, blah, 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 and they're all supporting me. It's like, fine, fair enough. Mental situation, but he's now made it the norm. Henceforth, when I see the boy that I used to work with come out and go, I'm pansexual, put it on his bio on Twitter, made everybody aware. It blew my mind because he'd been with his missus for 5 years. But then at the same time, I was like, I've seen it before now with Philip Schofield. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's normal now. It's possible. But it still doesn't sit right with me. You know, knowing him that much.
Yeah, and that's definitely understandable. It's sort of an uncomfortable topic to broach with people, especially when, you know, you yourself might be looking to get into a relationship with someone. And you don't want that relationship to get to a point where that your partner will turn to you and say, you know, I've been gay this entire time. I'm not actually attracted to, you know, whatever gender you are. It's something that, you know, it's not necessarily a nice thing to think about, but we'd like to think that we would at least be supportive of it. Because I think that for a lot of these people, like Philip Schofield, how old is he? He's got to be in his 50s, right? 50s, 60s?
Yeah, mid-50s, I'd guess.
Yeah, so when he was growing up, sort of as a young boy in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, for him to have come out as gay would have ended his life. He wouldn't have had a career. He wouldn't have had that would have been it for him. Yeah. So to live his entire life having to hide it because he had no choice, and we've now gotten to a point in society where he can come out and can say, yes, I have a wife and kids, but I'm gay, and to have people go, we understand. And even his like wife and children are like, yeah, we understand. Like, you do, like, he does probably love his wife and his children, but he needs to be, you know, true to who he is as a person. And he couldn't have done that without the progresses that we've made as a society, because if he'd done that, like you say, even 20 years ago, like, his career would have ended. That would have been it for him.
I mean, there's even people now making careers off of, you know, being gay or being bi, whatever it is. I mean, you look at Ryan Clark. I mean, that guy's got no talent.
No, he really doesn't.
To be fair though, right, I back it now. He's a good presenter, and it pains me to say because I don't.
Is he actually? I've not seen him doing this.
He's a really good presenter. He always keeps you interested, and I actually enjoy when he's presenting something. which is mental. But because I hated him when he was in whatever it was in, was it the
X
X Factor?
Factor.
Aye.
He was the
But-
boy that, for those who don't know, there's that famous clip with him when Nicole shares dinner, where like he gets like through to the next round and he just starts like crying uncontrollably, and you see how awkward she fucking looks. She's like giving him a pillow to like put against his fucking face for him to cry into. It was so bad.
But he's made a career. Do you know what I mean? He failed in the, well, he never failed in the X Factor, but he didn't win the
He
X
didn't win
Factor.
He was the
And-
joke actor of the year.
Aye, but he's made a career off it, you know, because everybody took to his flamboyant attitude and how he, you know, he didn't give a fuck. And now he's a very good TV presenter. And to be fair to him, he's good at what he does now. But people can make careers off it now, whereas, like you say, back in 20, 30 years ago, that was never ever the case, and it would never ever happen.
And there's even, actually, just to interrupt you, sorry for a moment, there's even like 10, 15 years ago, like a decade ago, you had footballers and rugby players who were coming out as gay who just got dropped. Their teams wouldn't play with them. They wouldn't be allowed to go to training and stuff because people couldn't, you know, they couldn't fathom the idea that this person that's, you know, like a peak physical man is gay, you know.
It's what I mean. There's still not a professional player in the UK that's came out as gay that's currently playing.
It's rumoured to be that over half the league, no, half the league, sorry, half of a team's worth of players are gay in the league, but they don't know who they are because they're not willing to come out. So you take it at half a team. What's your squad size now? Like 60 players, and then like,
oh no, it's like 20.
I know you've got a squad 60. You've got a squad of 60, and then 22 is your main starters.
In saying that though, there is actually one. He's not currently playing, but was Thomas Hiltzberger?
The boy that played for Everton, and
and he's the only openly gay player to have ever played in the Premier League.
Yeah. But he wasn't.
You know, insofar that we know.
I don't even think he was open about it when he played. I think he.
No, he did. He did it after he retired.
I
honestly believe even now, if players were to come out gay, they would still get destroyed in the Premier League.
Well, there's that one boy. Fuck, I can't remember his name. The boy that plays for LA Galaxy. I think he still plays for LA Galaxy at the moment. I think he's the only one over in America as well that's currently openly gay. It's playing Robbie something. Robbie.
I think what. I think I think you're actually right in saying that if you know Premier League players were to come out today and say that, you know, I'm gay, they would have a really hard time still, because it's that sort of core of the population. Like a lot of people that, you know, are very heavily into the Premier League and stuff like that. Let's be honest, they're not exactly the most progressive people. They tend to be the people that hold these sort of right-wing, anti-immigration, you know, foreign kind of views. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. A lot of them hold those views for, you know, their own good reasons. And I don't obviously want to disparage anyone that does, you know, watch the Premier League and might want to fit themselves into that sort of category of people. But I think it's that core group of people that don't fully understand and can't gel the idea of open gayness with their own worldview. And, you know, when you can't gel something with your own worldview, as, you know, most of us have probably done, you get quite angered by it. It can become something that causes you a lot of concern and stress. And I think that's what will happen.
I take it as there's one clip that if you go watch, you'll see exactly what I mean and why it can't happen. Just watch Millwall fans at the Den when the knee was, when the take of the knee was happening. That right there is precisely why none of their players could come out gay, because they've got these middle-aged men who have brought up young boys to be
a certain way
and effectively EDL members to a certain extent. You know, you're English, you support England, you drink lager, and you support Millwall. It is as simple as that. And as much as
anything else different, you are not a part of.
You're not a part of, you cannot accept. So if one of their players were to come out gay, he would never play for the club again. He would be absolutely punished.
Yeah,
so
definitely. And I think Scotland's done a slightly better job of that than most, because the crackdown on that sort of, I guess, not necessarily thuggishness, but sort of football mentality, like
Hooligan.
yeah, hooliganism, that's it. The crackdown in Scotland on that sort of hooliganism was fierce. Like it was unbelievably harsh. You had like people just being arrested for even trying to start stuff outside of like Rangers and Celtic games and stuff.
I don't know
because
about that,
it
Jamie.
became
You're
such
still
an
free
issue.
to walk the streets.
You can't catch him alive.
Well, that was a good chat. I didn't expect to get that deep into it.
Quite so political, yeah.
I know, Jesus. Well, before we move on to the news, one thing I did want to ask you about, courtesy of recommendation of your old flatmate Oliver, actually. Apparently, you're into your investments at the moment. Is this true? Into your crypto?
Yeah. I think he's just trying to make a meme, but
Okay.
yeah, I actually have been quite a bit. Specifically, the whole GameStop thing. If any of you
invest?
I did actually invest a little bit. I made some
Ooh.
money off it. I made like 500 quid or something.
Not bad.
Oliver hates GameStop as a stock because he has an actual, like, he has like investments and stuff.
Yeah,
and
he's told me that he's got his investments
and he cares about stability, not volatility. Whereas I thrive on volatility in the stock markets because it's fucking hilarious. So
do you want to explain that a wee bit for those that maybe don't know?
So for those who don't know what volatility in the stock market is, it's basically when a stock price that has stayed rather steady at a point either starts skyrocketing up or down, and kind of does it almost like when the market's open. So GameStop, for example, I'm not going to go through explaining what a short squeeze is and all that shit, because that's stupidly complicated and no one gives an actual fuck. Basically what happened is a bunch of people were dumping like all their stocks and they were squeezing the price, so it went down to $4. People on Reddit went, we don't like that, bought it all, and the price of the stock went from $4 to 450, which is a rise of about 1,800%, which is astronomical. It means if you had £1 million, say you just had £1 million in GameStop stock, and it went up, and it went up 1,800%, you would have made 1.8 billion. That's how astronomical it is. 100 quid, that's 10,000. Like, it's insane amounts of money. And I made like 500 quid off it because I got in sort of in the middle when it was kind of rising and it was about to plateau off, and I sold it all off. And volatility is just where it's incredibly risky because the chances that you lose money are really high, but you can also make a lot of money as well. And it's basically you're just betting that something is going to go up in price. That's all it is. It's gambling for people with more money. Like that's literally all it is. Yeah.
Have you done this before then, or was this the first time you invested heavily into something like that?
I've dipped my toes in before, a little bit. I always lost money, not huge amounts, maybe like 50 quid here, 100 quid there. But there are times where I've made a bit of money as well, but it's only recently that I've actually been really caring about it at all.
Well, just to let you know as well, I have a trading 212 account with I put a whole £10 in, so doing business well. And I was about to log in to show you, but I've logged out. It's been that long. Oh, will it remember? Yeah. And I made a loss there of 10p. So I am the ultimate stock market guru.
Well, I made, like I say, I made like that £500 of GameStop. I put about 100 odd quid into Dogecoin actually, because it's fucking hilarious.
Please tell me you made money on that, because I've seen that also skyrocketed.
No, I lost money actually, because this was before it skyrocketed. I could have put money, if I'd put money into it, say about 2 weeks ago and left it there, I would have made money, but I just couldn't be bothered. I actually just withdrew like all my money today because I've been skint this. Yeah, well, I've been skint this month, and then I just completely forgot I had like 500 odd quid just sitting about.
Yeah. Shame. Should have invested all in Bitcoin. That would have been the way to go.
Yeah.
Do you do like stock? Have you ever done that, Jamie?
Nah, I've never been. I would go onto that and see, oh, aye, that's level. Let me just fire 50 quid into that, and I'd lose money every time. So
yeah, pretty much.
you know,
I
I would need to read up on it and stuff before I could actually be partial to making a decision. Then again, I could just ask Aidan. So
Yeah.
Now
So
you've got all your tips and bets.
I mean, the one that I use is Binance. It's just like to buy like Bitcoin and stuff like that and trade in it and stuff. And this is, I'll see if I can't show you. So this is what it looks like.
Oh Jesus,
Is
it's like
that-
Wall Street on crack.
Is that like too bloody? Yeah.
It's a wee bit blurry, but you can kind of see the gist of
Yeah,
it.
so like red bit is prices like going down, and it's the difference between this price, and that price is the price you buy it at. It's currently, I mean, Bitcoin beginning of this year was at 32 or 34,000 pound per Bitcoin. It's at 57,000 pound now. It's currently, if Bitcoin is a currency, it's the most valuable currency on earth,
Nice. Well, even more so
But-
than gold.
even more so than everything. There is no single stock that exists that is worth 57,000 a stock, unless it's a private company that doesn't trade publicly. But we
If
won't know.
I actually could go back in time and like, you know, they say don't mess with the future, but it's just like you can do like, say you could like bet on the lottery or whatever. I would easily fucking put so much money into Bitcoin if I could get away with it.
not even Apple or nothing like that. Straight to Bitcoin. Sorted.
Bitcoin. Yeah, well, like it's one of those things that'll probably keep growing over the years. It isn't just going to stop at 50,000. It'll probably keep going. That's right.
Yeah, honestly, the thing that really made it very volatile as a currency is that it didn't have backing. Like it didn't have backing from really big investors. But you've got like Tesla getting in on it now. You've got Amazon that's starting to think about getting into it.
I'll probably get it.
And you've got like a bunch of people that are trying to, you know, invest a lot of money into it. So once they start doing that, there's, you know, actual sort of security behind it a little bit, that these massive companies have a lot of money into it. So that's what actually caused the uptick. So it was worth 45,000 about 3 weeks ago,
Right.
but then Tesla said that it was investing 1.2 billion into Bitcoin, and then the price of it went up by $12,000 in the space of 2 weeks.
I fucking hate Elon Musk. Such a cunt.
To be fair, did you see the video the other week about the car that was driving, and it was like the guy was like on his phone, as by the way you're allowed to. It was on his phone making a call to I can't remember. I think it was like his wife or some shit, and he was just about to like make the call and then put his phone back up on the dashboard, and it was going the screen and stuff for him. And then as he was driving along, a car pulled out for the middle lane into the left lane, and he was going like 110 kilometers an hour, whatever it is, and the car just like pure diverted past the thing by itself, and he was like fucking pure shaking up, and it was like he sent Elon Musk a message saying like you've saved my life, blah blah blah.
If
And it was like,
he
it's
had
pretty
been
mad.
driving that car with human reaction times, he would have died.
100%. So that's what I mean. It's
Not
fucking.
like
So you can say you hate him, Liam, but he's a man of, you know.
my
smart.
thing with
Intelligence. Yeah, I'm not denying that he's a man of intelligence.
You're
my
just
thing-
jealous.
Yeah,
Elon
no
Musk,
shit.
Elon Musk is eccentric. He's very eccentric. Like he's very, oh, look at me, I'm gonna do this really funny, cool shit, haha, and a lot of stuff like that. But he's one of the few tech entrepreneurs that seems to actually be trying to make life on Earth better for people. So, you know, trying to make driverless cars, trying to make carbon neutral stuff. He's trying to make it.
He also
so
named
we
his
can-
Wayne after like the alphabet, which is
We're not going to talk about
he's
that.
a pedo for
Yes.
that.
He is though. I'm telling you now, he's a Bond villain in disguise. He is the closest thing to a Bond
something-
villain that's ever existed.
Do
I'm not
either of
gonna lie,
you?
but I've just been brought chips and they look amazing. Sorry to interrupt, carry on.
That's fine. But do either of you know what Starlink is?
No,
Have you heard
but so-
anything? Not even the word. So SpaceX, which is obviously a company that's run by, you know, Elon Musk,
Yeah, that one I've heard
is
of.
is currently trying to do something called Starlink. Now, Starlink is a program where they're going to fire satellites up into space. They're tiny little things, like you could fit it on my desk. It's tiny. And what these satellites are going to do is they're going to be 3 different levels of satellites. There's going to be an upper level, middle, lower, and they're going to bounce. They're basically going to bounce data from the Earth to the satellite, and then between the satellites in the form of lasers, in order to give people internet. And the testing that's
Okay.
been done so far shows that in areas, or pretty much all over the globe, in areas where they can either get no internet or their top speeds are like 2 megaseconds, 7 megasecond, they can get them 150 megasecond with 40 ms is their delay across the entire planet. So it means that he's the goal.
BT are shitting himself right now.
BT can get to fuck. I used to work for BT. And so the goal is to give the entire planet the ability to communicate at speeds and to be able to actually function on the internet, because the internet's become such a huge part of our society now that to deprive someone of it's like depriving them of, you know, like an actual thing they need.
I know.
Especially
I mean,
in first world countries.
99% of people would say probably they need it now. It's like a necessity of their life.
You need to fucking bleep the fucking BT hatred. I can get sacked for that.
What do you mean? Mate, I used to work for BT.
Leave it at that. Fucking hell, we're going to bleep the rest of the shit you said.
Jamie's going to be panicking now tomorrow when this goes up.
I'm a BT employee now.
Shut up, only just. I love EE though. EE's the people I have my phone with, actually.
I love EE for as long as Jamie works.
Fucking brilliant, by the way.
No, I love EE for as long as Jamie works there, and then I will never go near them again. Then...
My contract's a little pricey with EE, but it's pricey because of what I wanted from it. I've got my phone on it, as well as unlimited data and unlimited text and calls.
And that tends to happen, to be fair.
Right, yeah, but let's stop shelling out airtime to EE, because let's be fair, we've done that enough in the past with Jamie wearing the uniform to play the podcast.
They're not fucking, if they're not sponsoring it, bleep this whole bit out, honestly.
Yeah, no, however...
And we're back!
However, Anchor, top tier that.
Here's what I will say though, right, is obviously we're going to move it to the news here. Now, Liam, these chips are incredible, by the way. You know,
thanks. Cheers for making us jealous.
No, no bother. I hope you're not going to bring up the news article. I think you're going to bring up a kind of article I put in the group chat there, mate.
Oh no, I didn't bother about that.
No, sorry. It doesn't
did you want me to talk about it?
No, it doesn't deserve the airtime. But it's just, you know, because I would need to mute my mic and.
Right, no, I haven't got that written down here.
No, but fair enough.
Right.
Anyway.
On to Liam and Jamie and the guests talk about the news. Basically, find random stories and just get our thoughts on them just quickly, you know, see what you think.
No bother.
Try and find the wackiest ones. Sometimes, you know, it's been a struggle during COVID, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, we occasionally get a few. And I'd say these ones are average at best, so you know, prepare for that. First one. A husband has decided to name their baby and told all their family and friends without letting the mother know. So he made it official before the Wayne was born, and it didn't even bother telling the mother. Just like, this is going to be the baby's name. Deal with
What's the name?
That's
this is the dodgy part here. This is the incredibly dodgy part. So the boy's a fan of Twilight, and he's named it after a Twilight character called. Where's the name here? So Renesmee? RENESMEE.
Oh, Renesmee.
Renesmee, thank you. Thoughts on that? If your partner done that to you?
That's excellent. If I'd done that to my partner, it'd be great because you know, they'd have my baby would have a good name, and I'd have an excellent funeral. You know, all my family would probably be invited. She wouldn't be there. But it'd be good.
What would you name it?
What would I name it? I'd name it something that she'd picked in the past, probably. Just so there's a chance. If I had a chance, mate, I'd name all my children like fucking Zeus and Hades and Odin and shit. I'd just go mental. They'd get bullied like fuck, but it'd be funny, yeah.
What about you, Jamie? You can name your Wayne anything. What are you calling them?
Mine's just dead boring though.
What would you go for?
I would just go for Nacho.
Nacho.
Aye.
Nacho
Libre.
Nacho Libre.
Aye. It would be over. It'd be on the topic of Rangers player.
Nacho Allan.
Aye. Fuck it. That's quality, by the way.
What
would you do, Liam?
Nah, mine's it's actually born opposed to fucking that show. I don't know. Why would that? I don't know. I've always liked the name Jake.
Wait, what?
Jake.
Nah, that's dead boredom. Can we make it?
That's what I said. Okay,
Can
what
we
you
make it
want?
better? I can make it better for you.
Go on.
Call you right, so it's a hyphenated, right?
Oh, great.
Black or. Tell me that isn't a mate, black or white.
Well, before you arrived, have I told you a story about the Nobel Prize winning like relative that I have? I couldn't think of the name there. Do you know what
What do
his
you
name is?
No,
James White Black.
that's amazing.
Can you imagine having to put that in every single one of your fucking
Well, I think,
documents
like,
and
White's
people
the
just
middle-
looking at it?
White's the
Liam, I
middle
seriously
name.
think you should consider that. Black hyphenated or. That would be amazing. Black or white. That's amazing.
That's a bullion waiting to happen.
Well, I bet I call him White dash White, like, so, you know, White spelled the correct way, and then White my name is way as well. You know, you have either or to pick.
That might seem a bit supremacist, mate. Not gonna lie to you.
That's when it comes out and says,
It's-
nah, one of the letters is different.
It's white or white, no other choices.
But no, like, seriously though, like, how would you react if your partner did do that without asking you? Would you actually get like a fucking
I'll go
divorce then
fucking
and there?
I go apoplectic, but at the end of
Depends
the day,
on how bad the name was.
It's
But
named
at the
after
end
a
of-
Twilight character, Jamie. That's pretty fucking
yeah,
bad.
but Renesmee is just a French name.
Yeah,
It's
but
an
he's-
actual name.
He specifically said as well that he's a massive Twilight fan. And
No, but
she
that's not a
hates-
bad name.
No,
It's
but
not
she
a
says
bad
as
name.
well that she hates the franchise and he still named her Rain after a character in it.
I mean, that's
Right, you're
just
happy with
him
the
not.
rating, mate.
That's just him not understanding, like taking her wishes into account. That man's getting a divorce. There's no way around that. She's
Nah,
getting.
it's getting changed by Depot. Let's just be quite honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. There's nothing there that's happening.
Did you ever see the one of the guy that named his Wayne La Rasra? And like the guy was like, "Oh, you know, this is a really pretty name that I've seen. What do you think?" And the woman was like, "Yeah, it sounds great." And it was only when the Wayne became 3 years old she realised it was Arsenal spelled backwards.
Oh, that's amazing. That's good. I like that. That guy's a G.
Yeah, that's pretty. See, that I think's a bit better, you know. He's created a whole new name for it.
Briefly, just for Liam, on the topic of football, Liverpool's getting beat, by the way.
No, they're not.
Yes, sir. And then we'll move back on swiftly. Richarlison, third minute in. Yep.
Anyway,
it would be dependent on the name, because see if I was. See, to be honest, see in the future, I don't think I'll have a say in the name, because I could give less of a fuck. It's not my name. But unless it was something stupid. Like, so if they went and they done something real bad, like fucking called it after some sort of fucking like Targaryen, like you're getting, I'm leather on you. Do you know what I mean? There's no just a case of we're changing the. You're actually getting punched. Fuck it. That's about as simple as it gets. And I've never watched Game of Thrones.
I'm kind of on a similar path. Like I feel like it's not really the man's responsibility to name the children most of the time. No, but I don't mean that in like a sexist way. I mean that the woman carries the child 9 months. She has to do like the vast majority of the work, and
she requires your seed.
My mom actually let my dad name me, which I found quite strange to hear.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
He chose a shite name anyway, and she probably hates him. But like, it is what it is.
No, my mom actually did say that because my dad tried to keep like suggesting name Liam, and she was like, I hate it. She never wanted it. She wanted me to be called Andrew or Stephen.
Oh,
I couldn't imagine you being an Andrew.
To be fair, I could take a Stephen.
Andrew White, Andrew White's like a decent.
Stephen
name.
White's good though.
Stephen White. Just the fucking boy from Happy
No,
Hour.
but then everybody would just call you Steve. Every time you went out for the party, everybody just call you Stevie Whitey.
Yeah, but it does work.
He could say it was over. He could say it was on his idol though.
True.
Rangers manager Steven Gerrard, you know. That's his
Anyway,
idol.
keep going. Apparently, guys, pigs can play video games.
I mean, you play video games, don't you?
Oh wow, that was shocking.
We're just gonna have to end it here, I think, for that part.
That makes sense. They're smart as fuck.
So, well, you say that, but pigs have been trained to play games with a joystick and food, basically. They've been apparently they've been working on this theory for 10 years. So fuck knows, one, who came up with this idea, and two, why you'd want to dedicate 10 years of your life to it. But apparently they're pretty decent with a joystick. However, they have said that they're nowhere near as good as chimpanzees or monkeys when it comes to playing video games. So it's a bit pointless at the end of the day.
I think it's just scientists wanting to understand things about animal and having far too much money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you know what it is? It's because they knew that they could swindle like their university out of a big grant, and they went.
Yeah, it's like, here, Craig, do you want to cure a cancer today? But we could get pigs to play games.
I could whap on Minecraft and go out the room for an hour, see if the pigs played anything.
Pretty much.
To be fair, they would just sit there and protect the other pigs in the game. I mean, I just think it's see the only experiments should happen with animals is how many we can breed and kill in the shortest space of time.
We've already perfected that as a society.
No, we need to make it quicker. Because I think that's the only thing that they're good for. To be quite frank.
There was a.
I hope you're not vegetarian, Aidan.
What, me? Vegetarian? No. Never. Not even close.
Ah, good.
Are you munching down your burger there, by the way?
I do have a double chicken burger, aye.
Yeah. Just quickly though, can we all agree that's a waste of time and money?
Oh, absolutely.
Kinda.
Well, I mean, what do you gain out of that? What do you learn by pigs playing video games?
You understand the cognitive reasoning of life forms that we don't fully understand, which is why they do it with chimpanzees and apes as well.
Okay.
You understand how their brains work and
right, that's great then. You know more about it, and what do you then do with that information?
What you do with that information is that you then take the information you gain, because they'll do MRI and CAT scans of the brains all the time, and then they'll compare them against human brains, because one of the few things we don't understand about human beings...
the elite gamer.
No, it's one of the few things they don't understand about human beings is how our brains actually function. We know kind of what they're for, but we don't actually know how they work.
Nice.
So by doing all these experiments on animals, we can see how their brains work and then try and see whether or not it matches up with what we see in our brains. So it makes sense, but at the same time, just do something else, mate. And actually, before you go on, there was you've actually just clicked my memory. I saw 3 different articles on Twitter, and I've just got them up. This is true. This is all stuff they've done with spinach. Scientists have turned spinach leaves into beating human heart cells. They've taught spinach to send emails, and they've used nanotech to transform spinach into explosive sensors.
Right, all of that. I mean, weirdly, the one that I'm most interested in that is how the fuck does a spinach send an email?
Oh, fucking no. But how cool is that? They've just gone.
No, that terrifies the fuck out of me.
No,
I don't want spinach walking out of my fridge.
It's the fact that some lad in a lab somewhere has been having his salad one day and just went, here, do you reckon we could get this to... And they've all just gone, yes.
I'm just going to put a point out here. This is why vegetarians are bad. Because they want to eat shit that can blow shit up and send emails. Just get a bit of ham down your hand, do you know what I mean?
Well, no, I'm actually perfectly fine with that. If they want to eat shit that could potentially blow us all up, that'll go on ahead.
No, because you wouldn't sit and eat the Taliban. Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know, man. You put 5 Taliban in front of me, if I'm a bit peckish, maybe.
That's Jack when he comes on to see if he's had a scran at any point.
Aye, that's true, aye.
Final one. Have any of you seen the Hollywood sign change from Hollywood to Hollyboob? Creative, I know.
Very creative. Why?
Well,
someone vandalize it.
Yes and no. So basically, they stuck up like other letters on top of the current ones to obviously spell out Hollyboob. There's conflicting stories though about why it was done. The first part of the article says that it was done to basically, make people more aware of breast cancer and, getting yourself checked and all that sort of thing. However, people that's what the main woman behind this has done, is said it. However, apparently, other people that were behind it have came forward and said that she's only done it for clout and she just wants recognition for doing this prank. So,
My question is, how the fuck do you get up there and do that in the first place?
Well, you can walk up to it. Like, there's a fence just before it, but you can walk up to pretty close to it.
To get into the position where you could put up letters.
You should do it in the middle of the night.
No, they don't do it in the middle of the day. They knew they were going to get caught. They just changed it so that people would see it. The way you do it is like each one, obviously, they have to do maintenance on it. So each one will have like ladders behind it to like climb up to the top in case for like painting or like fixing broken parts or whatever. So like, providing you can get over the fence, it's actually pretty easy. It just comes with like a hefty fine if you do it.
I'm fairly certain you can also get done for criminal trespass, can you not?
Well, they can, but apparently the judge took it easy on them, saying since there's no damage committed, that they're all let off, basically. But yeah, just like
soft bastards.
What's the honest, like, see with pranks like this and shit, what's honestly the point?
Well, if the whole thing was that they were saying they were doing it for breast cancer awareness, I'll be 100% honest. If I seen that in the sky, I wouldn't think, yeah, they've done that because of that. My mind wouldn't go that way. I don't know about other people, but my mind wouldn't alter.
Yeah, if they were doing it for breast cancer awareness, what they would have done is they would have gone up to the Hollywood sign and put one of those fuck off big ribbons across it. The ones that everyone automatically looks at.
The pink ones, yeah.
Yeah, that's breast cancer, you know?
Yeah,
but no, they've just turned it into Holly boob, which just looks like an 8-year-old has got.
Yeah, I was going to say an 8-year-old on COD is written it or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, again, bit pointless. If you did have the right intentions, fair enough. But if you were just...
Oh, no, fair enough. You're a fanny. You're still a fanny.
Yeah. So I take it then you don't want me to say the name of the person, so we don't give them... I mean, they don't need the clout for this, but...
Nah, they don't. They've had enough clout.
Aye, fuck them.
Right then. And with that, that's the end of the news. As I said, very mediocre stories this week. I do apologise.
I mean, funny stories and all that, but you missed the Mars rover landing. Come on now.
Aye, nobody cares.
Yeah. I always type in for this section weird/wacky news. That's how I always get my stories for these. No, because like, you know, we had the deep chats before. We talked about, you know, lots of important matters, you know. We don't need to spend the whole podcast doing that, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Could be so serious.
I know. However, now we're going to move on to the final bit of the show, Aidan. The all-important game. And to play this game, I'll let Jamie take it away to explain.
I hate this part.
Just before you start, actually, I've just considered writing a script for you to say, and I'll just play it to the guests. Like, I'll just get it ready for the next time.
No. Right, Aidan. The game's called Hot Seat. You should know it already because it's been done in just about every podcast I've done with a guest, and I'm assuming you'll listen to them all. But still waiting on a sponsor, Hot Seat. But with Hot Seat, what it is, it's a game, right? You'll get a letter in the alphabet that Liam will then give to you, right? Mm-hmm. Now, with this letter, you have to then you'll then receive subjects from Liam, such as toiletries, and say a letter was B. You would say the bog, you know, as something that's in the toilet or in the bathroom. Now, you'll get a range of random topics, and the letter always has to start with the letter you've been given. Now, the idea of the game is to get it as quick as you can, and as many right. You do get 10 questions. Now, if you're struggling, you can skip it. It'll add time to your final score. And you can re-roll if you're not happy with the letter. So if your first one's Z, probably re-roll it. Would be my advice. But like I say, you can skip it if you're struggling.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just quickly, obviously, we've had a lot of people. Some of our mates have been on it as well. For example, Ben Crawford, second highest ever on the board with 38 seconds, you know, and 10 correct, you know, done really well on it.
Boys, I'm just going to, sorry, interrupt. Look at the size of that fucker.
Jesus.
That's going to need to be eaten off stream.
But also people that we know, Aidan, you know, we've got Lewis there on 56 seconds. You know, we've got Jamie here on 1 minute 4 seconds. And the slowest time is 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So there's a big range of times. Is there
the time it beats 38 though.
You're going for Ben's time.
Is this Ben Gilmore?
Ben Crawford.
Ben Crawford, yeah, you have to try and beat that one. Come on.
Ben Gilmore has also done it in 58 seconds.
That he can get to fuck.
No.
Ben Crawford's the time I'm looking to beat.
Oh,
How long was Ben Crawford's?
38 seconds with 10 correct. So it is a whole 11 seconds slower than the fastest, but that is also the second fastest time we've ever had. But I will say, though, there might be a bit of chance here because there doesn't seem to be as much lag on this Discord Zoom session rather than we normally have during these. So there might be a bit of a chance here.
Is that because we all have decent internet and usually your third guest is just
I
terrible?
agree. Yeah. I agree. Why you got a pencil?
Well, so I can write down the letter.
Oh, okay.
That's
I feel as though you're taking this just a tad serious.
No, I have to beat Ben Crawford. That's how it goes.
I respect it. You know, I've never had someone take this seriously. Right, Aidan, your letter is C. Would you like to stick with C or a
Stick with it.
Oof. Aidan, are you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Things that are hot.
Crust.
Something that you're afraid of.
Crashes.
A fish.
Carp.
Cartoon characters.
I'm fucked now.
You can pass if you can't think.
Yeah, pass.
TV shows.
Pass.
Musical instruments.
My brain's gone completely blank. Clarinet.
Things that grow.
Carrots.
Things in the sky.
Clouds.
Cars.
Citrons.
Nicknames.
Chav. That'd be a nickname.
Yep, no, that's fine. And that's that.
I
Baby,
fucked
hold
it. That's over a minute. And I missed 3.
You missed 2.
Ugh.
But
I would have definitely right. So see, here's my tactic now, having played it for or seen many, I guess, play it right. Is see when you had your struggle right with the two right after each other. I'd have then passed every other one, so then you got a DNF. So then we would have gave you another shot at it.
I didn't know there was a DNF.
Oh, did I not explain that? See, that's Liam's fault. That he normally butts in with that. That's my bad there, you know. No, that's Liam's bad. Fuck Liam.
That is fuck Liam, honestly.
Aye.
I'm doing this again. I'm coming back to do just this.
No,
again.
but hold on a minute. Right? Hold on a minute. If it's over a minute, I say we give another shot, Liam, because I do like Ben Crawford either. So, what's the time?
with 8 correct, your time was 1 minute 18, which puts you slightly below. In fact, yeah, it puts you below Craig, and actually you're just above you Mackenzie's old time before he bet the record.
What was Hugh Mackenzie's new time?
27 seconds. He went from 119 to 27 seconds.
That's fucking mental.
And mate,
we were astonished as well.
It's the most incredible thing that we have ever seen in 62 episodes. But do you wish a second chance then?
You know what? Yes. If I fuck it up even more, though, I'm sticking with the second time because I'm an actual G.
Okay. You do realise, since Jamie did mention it, it was clearly my fault. If you have 5 passes or you get 5 wrong, that's a DNF either way.
Yeah.
And we have never had a DNF on that board yet.
I'm not doing a DNF. That's just not happening.
Well, for the oh Jesus. Well, Aidan, your letter is W. Would you like to stick with W, or do you want a new letter?
I'll stick with it.
Jamie, do you wish to give some legal advice in this moment in time?
Nah, I want to see him do it.
Okay.
Reroll. nah, stick with it if you're confident. But
you have to be confident. Think about everything you know that begins with the letter W.
I'm thinking.
Get a thesaurus or get a dictionary up again.
Just do it. Let's do it. W.
That's bold.
Aidan, are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Diseases.
Whooping cough.
Things that are cold.
Wind.
Things that are round.
World.
Reasons to make a phone call.
Wedding.
Hobbies.
Writing.
Things that make you smile.
Windows.
Creepy crawlies.
Worms.
Terms of endearment.
Wonderful.
Musical instruments.
Pass.
Things found in your pocket.
Wallet.
Oh,
It was actually outstanding until you missed that one. Man.
that was you were on track to beat Ben up until that one that you missed. Then
You know what the best it is as well. Again, if Liam explained it correctly, you can use the same answer twice. So reasons for a phone call, you said wedding, which was fine. And things that make you happy, and you fought and said windows. You could have just said wedding again.
See, okay, I would have just said weddings again. But honestly, I would have beaten this time. But I'll stick with that time. What was it?
Bear in mind, he done it in person, so there's a delay. You know.
Yeah,
there is. But Aidan, when 9 correct, pretty impressive. You have done it in 57.7 seconds, which for the letter W as well, that is like the hardest letter I think we've had for that high up. You are faster than Ben Gilmore as well, if that makes you feel better.
slightly.
But you are 1 second slower than Lewis.
I'm away to hang myself. It's been nice. It's been an absolutely fantastic month.
No, like, come on, Jamie. I think you can back him up on this. For W, that's quite impressive, and on Discord.
No, it's good going on.
Yeah, I mean, in total, you are one. You are
Pissed off
the
I
eighth.
gave you another chance and you actually beat me though. Again.
You're the 8th fastest we've ever had.
I think if I hadn't tripped up on like 2, I'd have been easily top 4.
I always do this. I always give second chances and then they always beat my 1.4 seconds. 1 minute 4 seconds.
I was going to say 1.4 seconds.
I know. I'm a bit mad. Aye.
1.4 seconds. You'd have to be on fucking crack.
I know. But, you know, 1 minute 4 seconds. I will beat that. I just.
Well,
just,
come the 100th episode, we did say we get another shot. So.
Well, both of
Right.
you get another shot, and the guest does it.
We done it on the first episode. We done another one on the 50th, and we're going to do another one on the 100th.
Fair
and
enough.
Aidan, as an avid fan, do you know when that is?
Well, you're in the 60s. 68
Yeah, close. 62.
with me? Oh, well, is it 62 with me, or is this 63?
This is 62.
So yeah, 30 episodes.
Well, I mean, I could have worked that out, obviously, but, you know. I just assumed, you know, rather than going, oh, you're in the 60s, I thought you were just going to go, 32 episodes, or 36 episodes, but, you know.
No.
Not as avid as I thought, but there you go.
No.
I've watched a few of them, but and the only YouTube channel that holds my loyalty is Playback 2066.
Human being.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, by the way, Liam, is this big bastard carrying on with his movie reviews, or what's happened?
I think we might have to have HR have a little chat about his performance recently. I think.
Aye.
In mentioning that though, he mentioned it last night when we were on a call, and he said he wanted to do it again. It was Liam that said he didn't.
What? Fuck off! Don't lie.
I did.
No, I fucking did not. I specifically said to him, "Will you have one tomorrow by 4 ready?" And he went, "Get to fuck." Was his exact words.
Yeah, that's fair, honestly though.
Exactly. And, you know, considering we pay him nothing, that's quite disrespectful, to be perfectly honest.
Considering you pay him nothing and tell him on the day to make it for the next day.
No. He knows that. The thing is, right,
He's a walloper.
See, when we start this, right, he genuinely thought, because there was about a 1.5 year period where me and Jamie very infrequent with these, and he sort of presumed it was still like that. However, since I've came back from Jersey, we've been doing one a week consistently.
Mhm.
I don't think he expected that from us. He was just like, he just expected there'd be one a month or something from us. But, you know, we're better than that. We're big time now, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, actually, that's a nice thing to say before we end. We have actually been doing the best we've ever done on this at the moment, especially on Spotify. So thank you very much to all the listeners out there. Appreciate it. But
Absolutely brilliant.
yeah, Aidan, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No worries. Until next time, then, I have been Liam Whyte.
The Jim Allen.
And I've been Aidan Doherty.
See you next time. Goodbye.
We talk football and current events, sitting and chatting with the very best guests, with two Scottish boys and we're loving it. So if you like witty banter, check the former #1 podcast on iTunes, sitting and chatting.